everybody, and welcome to the Way of Life podcast. I'm your host, Gus Holland. I've I'm a big procrastinator. Um, the even with my words, I procrastinate just because I'd say primarily out of fear, and secondly out of like tiredness or almost laziness. I do a lot of stuff, but it's not. I'll do other productive things to avoid doing the one task that I needed to do or felt like I should do. Um, it's not fun. um, a lot of people consider that ADD or ADHD, and it might be. I don't know. I've never tried sought medication for it or anything like that, but um, that's another topic. But even these episodes, I was doing a podcast with some friends before this one, and it was going really well. And I speak better in a group setting, like with one or two other friends that I can kind of like play off of. Um, and so yeah, so that was going really well, but it unfortunately didn't really work out for everyone. But the I've just always wanted, not always, but for a long time, I've wanted to create a podcast. So I decided to go this route with my own podcast and try to make it something that's going to be fun but informative and also help people a lot. Um, so bear with me while I get used to doing it by myself. But um, see again, back to the procrastination thing. Um, I've wanted to do this so badly and bought all the gear and put in all this time and effort to get what I think is like an awesome name, create the artwork, learn the software, do all this stuff, and then when it comes to like do an episode, I find myself like procrastinating, and I think it's out of fear for this, honestly, for kind of like letting you guys down, I guess, honestly. um but over time I'm gonna get better at this, so I guess I shouldn't procrastinate as much. That's also why this is kind of a more of a go with the flow episode, I guess. um it is 3 in the morning right now when I'm recording this, and for some reason, for the past several days, I have not been able to sleep, and I just keep thinking about podcasting and like coming out with better content, more content, um, and stuff like that. So I just felt like it was appropriate to use this time wisely. Um, I do have several guests that have verified um, with me that they'd like to be on the podcast, and I'm reaching out to a couple other people as well. Hopefully to bring y'all some entertaining stuff and some fun stories, and learning opportunities, I guess. Um, I guess, or we're kind of bouncing around, but I mean, going back to the whole friendship thing, it sucks because some shit like it just doesn't work out all the time, like how you want it to. And that's okay, but um, for a long time, I had given up on friendship, like as a whole. Kind of like if it happens, it happens, but you're not like seeking it or trying to like hang out with anybody or talk to anybody really. And I don't know, like in junior high and high school, I mean, all through school, I had a lot of friends. Kind of one of those guys that's like cool with everybody, for the most part. And do a lot of voices and a lot of joking around. And I know it doesn't seem like this on this podcast yet, but I'll get there with being solo. It's kind of weird. Um, anyways, yeah, I guess I noticed towards the end of high school, um, sadly, everybody was kind of going their separate ways. Like some of my friends weren't going to college, some were, only like one or two were going to the college that I was going to. Um, and yeah, we all kind of just grew apart or drifted apart. And I was actually trying to explain that to somebody in the friend group of like how I felt, or almost feared that that I'd lose my friends, and that person kind of twisted my words a little bit and ran and told all the other group members of the friendship, I guess. And I guess kind of made me look like I was trying to dump them or something. I don't know, but I guess if your friends dump you that quick based off of not your words that weren't yours, didn't come from your mouth, then you probably don't need to be friends with them. But um the so yeah, so after that I kind of gave up on friendship for a really long time. It was mainly because, I mean, it was that obviously that was shitty, but um, I was going to college, so I was super poor, and I mean, uh, bottom tier of college kids, I guess, as far as like ability to eat, um, and afford basic necessities. And so, yeah, a combination of like just trying to work really hard at school and working really hard at an actual job, um, kind of just took up all my time for the most part. Um, yeah, but I know, like I've found out the hard way, easy way. I don't know what to really call it, but I have found out that friendship is worth it. Um, I've gotten, I mean, just over the past like 10 years, I have I know a lot of people that I'm like cool with and I can like joke around with and all that, but I've had, I mean, over 10 years, I've probably only had like, I don't know, four or five like people I would consider close friends, that I could actually like text on a regular basis or like call or joke with or hang out with outside of work or something. Um, and some of those people have moved on, but um, I'm grateful for all of them. I always like from those friendships, just in general, you always either learn something about a different people in general, or learn something about yourself, or become better at something, or learn a skill, or just maybe just have you can just cherish that time that you had together, like be grateful, I guess, for all the good times, so um I don't know, I mean, like, if it honestly, if it wasn't for my friend Josh, I probably still wouldn't know about podcasting. Yeah, he was the guy that told me about it and told me that I should check them out. You know, uh, the Joe Rogan podcast, your mom's house, like some I can't remember all the ones he's referred me to, but because of him, I've you know grown fond of listening to podcasts, and then years into listening to podcasts, um, and hearing other podcasters encourage starting your own podcast, things kind of aligned to where I could start that one, um, a year and a half ago or so with two of my friends. Um, and because of that, I learned from that process and had a lot of fun doing that. And now I have the knowledge to do my own. And so, because of those friends, like this is happening, you know. Christian, who I mentioned in the previous episode, um, he's freaking awesome, but he's the one that made the intro music, and I mean, he did that almost completely on, like of his own volition or whatever. And that's awesome, Me and him are going to be starting a podcast pretty soon too, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And he's the one that like helped me a lot with learning. You know, he's a guy I can call if I've got like an issue with the software. He's like, "Oh yeah, here, do this, this, and this," because he's a basically, he's a musician, but he knows all about the audio engineering and everything. Um, so I don't know. Friends are cool, and friends are worth it. So if you didn't know, now you know. Um, um, Other than that, I've been thinking a lot about this podcast's like purpose. I know. I mean, it's called Way of Life. It's a play on the term way of life and protein. Whey protein. So obviously, it's going to be fitness based, fitness centered. I do want to interview just so many. I've got so many people I would love to interview, and we're gonna get there. But um, I would me personally, like I love bodybuilding, strongman competitions, um, just about any type of physical fitness or physical sport, football, paintball, um, soccer, tennis, like you name it. So I'd really like to um, speak with people like that. But most of all, like the overall goal of this is to like just to help people. I just want to put like, even if it's just positive vibes out there, if somebody learns a little something, or if they just tune in and like have a good time listening to this content, I'll be happy. So that's good. Um, I've been, man, this is going pretty good, honestly, better than I thought. But um, I, the other topic is just, I guess it kind of feeds off of what I was just talking about, but always like the thought of always improving. I mean, rest is necessary, of course. Um, but I mean, even if, for example, okay, so for example, there's people, myself included, that would love to like just spend all their time like working out, eating right, like for example, doing this podcast, hanging out with friends, playing video games, but like almost nobody can afford that lifestyle. So, but the thought of always improving, you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself, and I've learned this the hard way. But for example, if like in my past, I worked at a construction job, asphalt construction job, where I would work like 60 to 86 hours a week. Um, with like sometimes it's like a weird schedule where you're like, oh well, this job this week you got to work all through the night, and because it's a high traffic area and we're doing all this shit through through the night. Um, so and then that's not those hours aren't to mention that you're driving out of town, like might be an hour drive to the construction site, you know. So 2 hours round trip, not including your lunch break if you get one. So, for example, somebody like living that way and just working themselves into the ground, basically, um, you might technically have time to like work out and whatever else you want to do, but when you're living like that, like honestly, your priority is resting, you know. So, um, but you can still improve though. I mean, whether it's like listening to a podcast where you learn something, or just improve your mental state, because those jobs can be tough as hell, and so maybe you just need to listen to something funny, or whatever. There's audiobooks. If you have time to physically read, that's cool too. Um, like, I mean, and this goes for everything. That was just an example but I mean, if you maybe you work a shitty office job that you don't like, or whatever, but you could maybe work on learning a language, or maybe taking a course, um like if maybe you're wanting to transition, maybe you want to get out of your like shitty job or whatever, or maybe it's not a shitty job, you just really really don't enjoy it. um and so like if you maybe you want to eventually own your own gym or something, or own your own company in general, but we'll take a gym for example. You can get CPR certified. That's a cheap thing to do, and that's something that's necessary to become a certified personal trainer if you want to be certified, which you don't always have to be certified, um, as long as you know what you're doing. But you could take that CPR test. Um, you could become a certified personal trainer. At least right now with COVID and everything, all of that stuff is online. You don't go anywhere in person. And then maybe you start taking on clients, trying, get like one client a week, or, and then ramp it up from there, or start working at a gym part time or something, to maybe get the ins and outs of a gym. And maybe you get familiar with the owner, and the owner teaches you some stuff about the business or something. I mean, as long as they're not, um, some people do have that mindset of they don't want to help you because they see you as competition. Um, but there's always enough to go around. So maybe, you know, but at the very least, you'll learn something, or you'll build connections. Who knows, Or if you're in that construction job and you don't want to be manual labor your whole life, which I've seen 60 and 70-year-old men shoveling asphalt. Um, Maybe you don't want to do that your whole life, Um, you could slowly figure out how you could improve yourself to become a supervisor, and then, or, a crew leader, and then from a crew leader to a superintendent or foreman or whatever your company calls it. And then from there, maybe you can buy into the company and be part owner, or buy the company, or start your own company. Like there's so many other ways to improve yourself besides, I mean, doing things outside of your job. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I think it's always, you're always going to feel like some form of struggle. Um, but if that if that form of struggle wasn't there, I don't think you would progress. So I don't know how. The main thing is really just to like, it's corny, but you keep a positive mental attitude, um, and just keep moving forward to your goals, or your baby step to help you towards your goals. Or maybe your thing is just to get a little bit. Maybe you want to lose 50 pounds this year. You know, um, or or 50 pounds in general. Like, just don't put your so much stress on yourself. Like, this stress is already there of you wanting to lose the weight. You don't have to like freak out all the time. Um, maybe you're not exercising at all, or cooking proper meals, or maybe even cooking at all. Um, Instead of saying like, I got to lose 50 pounds this year, and then to do that, I need to start cooking all my meals, healthier meals, and I need to learn how to do that, and I need to learn how to stretch properly, and breathe properly, and exercise properly, and do all this stuff. Just take it a little, take one of those things, and tackle that, you know. Because, for example, if you're getting, I keep saying, for example, sorry, I'm tired, but if you take maybe the diet portion of it, and just work on that, and not, it shouldn't be a diet. It should just be like small lifetime changes, like maybe you notice that you're eating a stick of butter a week on your food, you know. You're like, oh shit, well, I can cut that out, you know, because most of that buttery flavor is actually just salt, So maybe you just cut the butter out, but put a dash of salt on your shit, I mean, too much salt is bad too, but I'd rather you keep the salt and lose the butter for, at least that's a baby step that'll help, Um, or, and then, so you cut out, you cut out the butter, and then instead of taking the elevator, you're going to take the stairs, and just say, well, I mean, if you're really heavy, maybe that hurts your knees too much, so maybe just do that once a week. That change alone, you're going to lose weight, and you kind of helped your diet a little bit, just baby steps, and don't freak out about it. Um, but anyways, I really appreciate y'all listening to this, and there's going to be many more episodes to come. Like I said, I've got um, several people lined out to be on the podcast. But I'm going to wrap this one up. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Gus Holland. But the Instagram is GUSSHOLLAND. The one with my real name is taken for now. If you want to follow the podcast, it's at Way of Life Podcast. It's WHEY, like the protein. You can email wayoflifepodcast@gmail.com. For now, you can just email whatever. I mean, well, not whatever, but If you have questions about the podcast or maybe something you'd like talked about on the podcast or guest ideas or whatever, feel free. Anyways, thanks for listening and love y'all.